Hi friends, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome if you are new. I'm Cheryl, this is Table Full of Joy. And friends, I've got a delicious recipe for you guys today. Super excited to make this one. I've had this recipe sitting in my Pinterest file for, gosh, I don't know, probably a year and a half, if not more, quite a while. So I'm excited to make this, but what I decided to do is I'm not going to make this in a 13 by 9. I'm gonna make this in two smaller pans. You guys have probably seen me use, let me grab it, my glass freezer containers. These things are incredible. I love these. I got this whole set on Amazon. I will leave a link for you guys in the description box if you want to grab a set of these. They have these incredible lids that have a really good seal on them right here. And so I'm gonna make one of these tonight. We're probably gonna eat half of this tonight for dinner. The other half we'll have it later this week. The other pan, this one, I'm gonna put this in my freezer. And I'm gonna have another one of these ready for me when I need to have a quick dinner. I am retired, and so I'm not working at the daycare anymore. I do have more time, but fall is busy for me. I have a lot of things I do at church. So we're gonna be starting midweek equip here pretty soon, and so I'm gonna be helping my friend Shelly with the kids ministry on Wednesday nights, and so that's gonna take up some time. I am gonna be doing Bible study, and so I need to find some things that I can have in my freezer. And this is the thing, friends, if you're gonna make a recipe and it's something that can be frozen, whether it is spaghetti sauce or it's chili or it's some kind of a soup or some kind of a casserole, something like that, if you can make the entire recipe, split it into two containers, eat one that night, stash one in your freezer, and one night when you are exhausted or you need something super quick for dinner, you got that stashed in your freezer and you can have dinner on the table with no effort. And sometimes that's what I want. So friends, we're gonna get this made. Super easy recipe, really quick. It's gonna be delicious. I can't wait to try this. I'm gonna be using corn tortillas. These corn tortillas are not the freshest things in the world. They're still fine. They haven't gone rancid or anything like that. They just have been in my cupboard for a little bit. Yeah, they smell fine. They're just not the freshest, and they're not going to be good for rolling into anything because they're just going to split on me. But this way they're getting layered. I don't care if they split because they're going to be covered up with delicious cheese and beans and all the things. So I don't care if they split. So this is what we're going to use tonight for our Mexican enchiladas or Mexican lasagna. I keep saying enchiladas. I mean lasagna. So friends, let's get our ground beef started over here in this pan. I've got one packet of taco seasoning that we're gonna add to it once we get our ground beef cooked. So let's get this started. This recipe calls for red enchilada sauce. I'm not a fan. I don't know what it is. I am not a huge fan of red enchilada sauce. I would much rather have green. I have this jar right here of enchilada verde, and I'm gonna use this. I found this on clearance. If you guys are new to my channel, you're no stranger to these stickers right here. I am constantly looking at our clearance rack at our local Fred Meyer or Kroger, whatever you want to call it, looking for things that I can get a lot cheaper, ways that I can use them, different brands that I haven't tried of things that we use all the time. I don't care if it's on clearance. As long as the container's not damaged, I don't care. It's going to save me money in the long run. So I have been working before I went full retirement the end of July. I was working really hard at getting my freezer full, getting my pantry full, so that I don't have to buy a ton of stuff and we can start saving some money a little bit between now and the time that my YouTube starts to really help us out with supporting our family. And so I have been trying really hard at saving some money, and I've been doing a really good job at that. My husband's pretty proud of me. So we're gonna get this ground beef cooked. We're gonna get it in our pan. We are using, instead of using the canned green chilies, I have some roasted poblanos. I will leave a link in the description box for this video if you guys want to see it. I did that this morning. I needed to get on with my schedule. I'm starting to get myself on a daily schedule of cleaning and organizing and doing all the things, as well as doing regular cooking for my husband and I. And so I have myself on a cleaning schedule, and today was bathrooms. So today I cleaned bathrooms, but I also did a couple of projects that I needed to get taken care of before I did that. This is one of them. So we're gonna use probably one of these. I'm gonna dice it up pretty small, and we're gonna use that instead of the canned green chilies, because Even though I have canned green chilies on my pantry, why not use fresh if you can? So these have been roasted this morning. They're ready for me to use, and so I'm gonna use them. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut up one of these poblano chilies that I have in this bag. I'm gonna cut one of these up because these are gonna go in our ground beef back there with a can of Rotel, which is the diced tomatoes and green chilies. So we're gonna add all that into our ground beef, and that's what's gonna go inside our lasagna. So I'm just gonna pull out one of these poblanos. They're pretty good size. And that's why I said I don't need to worry too much about using a can, because these are pretty good size chilies, and I think it's gonna be plenty of green chili in our lasagna. I was out at our local farm stand this weekend on Saturday, getting a bunch of fresh produce for a dinner we had with my husband's high school friends that were in town. And they had absolutely beautiful peppers and lettuce and all kinds of things. And so that's what these are. I needed to get these used and needed to get them in a different form than having them fresh, because they're not going to last a whole long time. They're going to wind up like these right here. These are a poblano that I let go red and dry, and those are going to get ground up later for a special chili sauce. So our ground beef is all ready. We're going to go ahead and put our taco seasoning in here. We're going to use the can of tomatoes with the diced green chilies undrained. I'm going to go ahead and put my roasted poblano peppers in that we did this morning. This is going to add some nice heat to this lasagna. Let's go ahead and put our can of tomatoes in. Once we get our meat done, it's basically about layering this lasagna, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else to it. It's super easy. I'm gonna put just a little bit of water, rinse my can. I'm gonna let this simmer for probably 5 minutes or so, just enough to get that taco seasoning into the meat, get our tomatoes heated through. And while that's doing that, I'm gonna get some cheese shredded up. I've got some pepper jack and some cheddar. And then it's gonna be just about getting this lasagna layered in our pan. All right, so here's our pans. We're gonna put just a little bit of our green enchilada sauce in the bottom down here, just to give it something to sit on. Now this enchilada, or this lasagna recipe does not call for enchilada sauce. I thought it did, but it doesn't. But you know what? I think it needs it, because otherwise you're gonna wind up with really, really dry tortillas, and nobody wants to eat that. So I am going to, I think I can just, I'm just gonna do 2 in the bottom of each one. And like I said, these tortillas are a little bit on the drier side because they've been up in the cabinet for a little bit, but they're gonna be totally fine. So we're gonna put down some of our meat mixture. And I'm doing these side by side so I can make sure that I divide this mixture up evenly between the 2 pans, because I don't want to make one pan and then not have enough to do the other. We've got some black beans. We're gonna sprinkle some black beans in here. Just like that. Set those aside so they can hang out for a minute. We got some cheddar and some pepper jack cheese. So we're just gonna put in some of both in here in the bottom of this, because it is lasagna after all, and we want lots and lots of cheese. Because isn't the cheese the whole point of lasagna? It's just all of the delicious cheese that we put in it. This is so easy, and you can change this. If you're not a big fan of black beans, put chili beans in it, put pinto beans in it, put whatever kind of bean you like. You don't have to do the black beans. I don't mind black beans, so I'm perfectly happy putting them in. I think for this next layer, I think I'm gonna just split this tortilla in half. Like that. I think that's gonna be plenty. Like I said, this is a much smaller amount. Doing these two small pans like this, that gives me plenty of food for one night, and it gives me another pan for me to put in my freezer so that I have another one of these later on when I have a night when I just don't have time to cook, or I just don't feel like cooking. Sometimes, even though we love to cook, sometimes you just don't want to cook. You just don't want to be in the kitchen. And I do have days that way. So I sometimes just don't want to. I'm going to put just a little bit more on this one. And we'll use the last of this beef on the next layer. So we're going to do the same thing over again with this one. We're going to put one on here, and then we're going to split this other one in half. We're gonna do our last layer. You know, we didn't put black beans. Why didn't you catch me, friends? Okay, now we can put this on. Oh, we didn't even do cheese. Good grief. We are just not thinking right now. I mean, it would have been fine. If you're not a huge cheese fan, you don't have to put cheese in every layer, but you know what, friends? I am a huge cheese fan. And I would have been super sad if I would have sat down to eat this lasagna and there would have only been one layer of cheese. All right, let's do this other side correctly. We'll save the last of these black beans for the last layer, because we've got one more layer of meat. We just want to make sure everything is... Now this pan is going to be pretty full, and I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to always make sure that I bake this on a baking sheet. So I'm just going to kind of tuck this, if I can, tuck it down in my bowl or my pan, just to get it nice and nestled in there, so we can get that last layer of meat on there. And don't waste any of this juice that's in here. That juice has got lots of flavor, and we don't want to waste any of that. So just kind of push it around, get it all down in this pan. We're going to divide up our last black beans, put a little more cheese on it, and then we're going to put our last layer of tortillas on this. And I am going to put a little bit, we're not going to do a ton of enchilada sauce, but we are going to do a little bit, because I think it needs that sauce on top, because there really isn't any sauce on top of this. And I will bake this on a baking sheet just in case it does decide to bubble over in my oven. I already had that happen this weekend with the cobbler I made. It boiled over in my oven and it was not pretty. All right, let's do some more cheese. I've got more cheese here if I need to grate it up so we can do some on the top, but I'm not going to put any cheese on the top until this is done. I want to be able to pull this out of the oven. I want to cook it covered, and I want to be able to pull it out of the oven, put some cheese on it, and then put it back in for just a minute and let that final layer of cheese melt. So yeah, we're gonna definitely grate up a little bit more cheese. I think all I have left though is cheddar, but that's okay. We are pantry cooking. We are using what we've got here and just making the best of it. Trying to not go buy more things if we don't have to. Of course, I am not limiting myself and saying I can't shop, because if I want to go to the store, I will. But I am just trying to be very, very mindful of what we already have here. So I'm folding these so I can overlap them just a hair. And like I said, these tortillas are a little bit on the crunchy side on one end, but I don't care about that because they're gonna have enchilada sauce on them, and they're gonna be fine. So I'm gonna take my hand, I'm just gonna kind of push this down in this pan a little bit, kind of compress it a little bit, make it a little bit more compact. Just like that. And then we're gonna put on some of our enchilada sauce. This is the enchilada verde that I told you a minute ago we had, and I don't want a ton, but I do want a little bit on each one of these. I think I'm gonna grab my brush, and I'm gonna use my brush to kind of just get a little bit of it distributed on all of these tortillas. Because if these tortillas don't have something liquid on them, they will definitely burn in the oven. And I don't want that. I want them to be nice and tender and soft. Now, like I said, I am using tortillas that are not super fresh, and that's okay. I did smell them to make sure that they're not rancid, because tortillas will go rancid on you if you're not careful. One of these is going to get covered with a lid, and it's going to go in my freezer. It's nice and airtight, nice and sealed right here. Going in my freezer, I'll label it and put it in there, and this will make a delicious dinner another night. This one right here is going to get covered up with some foil. And like I said, I am going to put it on a cookie sheet because I have a feeling that it's going to boil over in my oven because my pan is pretty small, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. So we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to bake this at 375 for about 20 to 25 minutes. Lasagna is just about out of the oven. I just took it out and put the cheese on it. I'm going to make a little bit of salad dressing to go with our salads we're going to have on the side of our lasagna. I sliced up some green onions to put on top of the lasagna when it comes out. So let's get the dressing made. So I just have a little bowl. This is some ranch dressing that I made over the weekend. Super good. This is a super easy recipe. Not even really a recipe. So this is just Hidden Valley Ranch. I add some things to my Hidden Valley Ranch. If you missed that, I'll leave a link for the live video in the description box for you guys. But I make salsa ranch all the time with either red salsa or green salsa. I'm going to put a little bit of enchilada sauce in this. This is just making kind of a Mexican ranch, or you know, whatever you want to call it, salsa ranch. If I had some taco seasoning, I would put that in it, but I'm out of taco seasoning. So yeah, we're just gonna go with that. It's gonna be delicious. There's our green onions. There's our Mexican lasagna. I probably should let this sit before I cut it, but I'm not going to because I'm starving. It is 7 o'clock. We need to eat dinner before it gets any later. So this should hopefully come right out of the pan pretty easy. I'm going to just take my knife and go around the outer edge of it just to make sure it's loose. But it feels like it's pretty loose. So I think we're good. Let's finish it with our green onions. You're supposed to put chopped tomatoes on this, but I'm not doing that because I did a salad and I put tomatoes on the salad, so I'm not going to do tomatoes on the lasagna. Also because I'm going to put the leftover lasagna in the fridge and it's going to sit overnight, and we'll have it for dinner either tomorrow or one night this week. We'll have the leftovers, and sitting fresh tomatoes on top of something like this is just going to make it wet. So I'm not going to do that. But if you're going to serve the whole thing right away, by all means, go ahead and put some fresh tomatoes on it to serve. So we're just going to get our spatula down in here. You can see how that, now I was thinking about it after I made this, and I was actually thinking about my husband. I bet he would love some corn in this. Some of that Mexi corn that we can't, or not canned, but we froze, would be delicious in this. But there's our delicious Mexican lasagna. We're gonna serve this a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of salsa on the side, a little bit of our beautiful little dressing that we made right on top of our salad. And that is our dinner, friends. Thank you guys so much for joining me in my kitchen as we made a delicious and quick and easy dinner. We made the full recipe so we could put half of the recipe in the freezer for another dinner. We've got dinner for tonight and dinner for another night. So for the two of us, we ended up getting 4 servings or 4 dinners out of this one recipe, which is perfect. Super excited to have another easy recipe stashed in my fridge or freezer ready for me. It means so much to me, guys, that you take time out of your day to come and spend time with me in my kitchen, see what I'm doing, see what we're making, what we're having. Usually Mexican food because that's my favorite. I just love sour cream. So friends, if you have not yet, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of my YouTube family. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we upload a video. Give this video a like because that is what YouTube loves to see. I love to see it too. Friends, leave me a comment if you guys have a favorite lasagna recipe, whether it's Mexican or whatever it is. Leave me your comments down below of what kind of lasagna you guys like to eat. And friends, we will talk to you guys in the comments. Have a great day and God bless.